Hey, ladies.
Hey.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. So tonight, look, let me move around. I'm always consistently moving. Tonight we have three special guests. My host is going to be joining us shortly. Let's just get right into it. We have two phenomenal ladies tonight. Oh, wait, we got somebody else.
There's Peppy.
And Peppy.
Oh, Peppy. Okay. And so tonight we're going to talk about advertising, our business, and which is definitely important. I know I could do a lot more. Mm-hmm. So ladies, who wants to go first with introducing themselves?
Oh, good. Well, first of all, I want to just say thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Donnie, for introducing us. This is, I want to say, BlackUSA.news, or his whole platform is really something that's really important to me and to Cier. We work together with Speakers Magazine, which is a magazine that features and feeds Black speakers, from people like Stephanie Mills.
Wow.
To,
that girl can sing. I love her.
No, to Josiah Lloyd.
Okay.
To Rashawn. So you could see all things Black are really like our thing because we shine. And I think Black people have a voice that really needs it during this season, really needs to be heard more. I'm just so before I get into really talking about advertising and things, one of the main things that really is our heartbeat is making sure that, and there's Rodney too, making sure that Black people are heard and that things are just towards us. What's been going on right now with the situation where they said, oh, well, we're not going to release the video for the guy, and so much, and it's like 1 year almost to the date of George Floyd, right? So we're just tired of all of this racial injustice. And one of the things that I know why I'm in communications, why Cier's in communications, and why Rodney says the messages that he says is that we want to make things right. And so my name is Pam Perry. Obviously, you see that, publisher of Speakers Magazine, and Rodney is a part of that. He's been featured there a couple of times. And I really do publicity. I've been doing publicity basically for about 2+ decades. And I really enjoy working with Black authors, Black speakers, and unapologetic about that from the very onset. Because they said it's target marketing. Yeah, it is a target market, but I just have a heart to know really that we have a message that really needs to be told. And if we don't tell our stories, who will? And that's why Donnie and we kind of connected because he has the same heartbeat as well, just really promoting ourselves, working with each other. The way they used to, like at the Black Wall Street, right? That whole mindset is just really Black people working together. So I have a lot of clients that I've worked with, probably 5,000. I haven't really counted like per se, but if I just did an average of how many over the 20 years, it's probably about 5,000 authors and speakers that I've worked with and mentored. And it's kind of a lot, but really that same thing is that with anybody, they have to know what their message is and be confident in it and really tell their story. And so with that, that's a good segue into Cier, who's really good at storytelling.
Great. Yes, thank you. So my name is Cier Black, and I have the privilege to work with Pam Perry and her husband in publishing Speakers magazines, as well as some other programs that she have going on that we'll get into a little bit later. But Speakers magazines, not only does it feeds, but it also fosters Black speakers and spotlight Black speakers. Pam is passionate about ensuring that our message is heard. And so therefore, that's how she came about even, getting into media as far as the magazine is concerned. And I have the privilege of helping deliver that message. So my background is communications, journalism, and publicity. And I have the pleasure of everyone that is on the cover of her Speakers magazine for the past maybe 6 months or so. I've had the privilege to sit with them, interview them, and then tell their story. So it's all about making sure that their story is delivered and spotlighted in that particular magazine. But in addition to, Pam doing this, she believes that speakers should use their platform for good. So she works with people who have strong messages, who are really contributing to the community, and who are not only, living in their purpose, but also helping others. And I have the privilege of being able to work with those people as well. So that's what we do for Speakers Magazine. But Pam, like she says, she's been in the business for, 2 decades. So, she has a lot of experience, and she has a blueprint for everything that she does. So when we talk about promotion and publicity, no one can do it like she can do it. And it's just an honor for me to be able to work with her, to watch and be part of what she has given to the community.
So where exactly is the magazine circulated? Is it a certain region of the United States or everywhere?
It is online. So
Okay.
but it is a physical magazine. So it's a little bit different. And I'm going to be doing a magazine webinar with 2 magazine publisher friends as well. But it is online, so people can go to Issue and actually read it there. So it's distributed through the Issue platform, which then embeds videos in it as well. But they can go to speakersmagazine.net, download it for free, so people can download it. They don't have to subscribe to the online version. That one is free for people to read, because the whole point of it is for us to really tell the world about the great Black speakers, right? So that's really the main thing. But in terms of circulation, it goes to about 101,000 online every single month through all of our social media, which is just speaker social media. So actually, I should probably count the other people social media as well. But at the very least, 101,000 online through the Speakers Magazine network. And then also too, it gets shared through the other speakers that are in the magazine as well. So the whole point of it, though, we do have a physical magazine, and those are for the people who are on the cover, who are having their events. So if Dr. Geneva has an event, the magazine shows up at her event. If TC has an event, it shows up at her event. If she has an event, it goes to her event. So it is like an event marketing tool or a launch tool that people can use when they have something quote unquote special going on. Stephanie Mills, when she was on the cover, she was launching her son's book. Rashawn McDonald, he was launching into a TV show. So it is a tool they have. They actually has them as well. And then we have subscribers. Of course, we have subscribers. So people can always subscribe. It's only $24 a year, and they can go to speakersmagazine.com and subscribe to it as well. So people like to get them in the mail because other speakers like to see what other speakers are doing. And then we mail them out to the media. And then we also mail them out to conference speakers as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess you have advertisers that advertise in there, because you said it's free.
No, we don't have advertisers. We have advertorial. So what we call advertorial, which, like I said, is a little bit different model. Advertorial is it's advertising, but it really looks like editorial. So they call it advertorial, which is pretty typical in the magazine world now.
Okay. You might have to explain that to the guests. I mean, only because most people open up a magazine and read it and they see different ads. So could you explain what the difference is?
So advertorial is really this looks like a editorial piece, but it's an advertising, meaning that they paid for that. So this is an advertorial. And so our business model is that, so that people can, if they qualify, they can put in advertorial and advertising that is editorial. And a lot of times, I mean, this has happened probably over the last 10 years for sure. Sometimes if you read Essence Magazine and you think you're reading an article, and up at the top it says this is a special advertising feature.
So that part, I know it can be confusion, but first of all, it resembles Jet Magazine. So that's what the magazine itself, and mine's is back there. I should have thought to bring it to my desk, but it looks like Jet Magazine. And so for the average viewer, the consumer, they can't tell the difference at all. But the benefits of it is that, and I love that Pam added that if you qualify, because that's how important this magazine is, right? That it's vetted. And it's in line with what her vision is to ensure that this is something that she wants to include. But just think about all the places that this magazine is placed. So not only do you get the promotion of having, of the digital footprint, but you also get the printed copy that, you have branding and marketing at your event, but you also get to be on all promotional features as far as where Pam's concerned on her platform, And then, if you're on the cover, you get to be part of lives. So it's one product.
Right. Forget about that.
That is used in so many different ways for marketing, advertising, in which what we're talking about. So that's how that fit in. But for the average consumer, you probably, you wouldn't know, you would just see it as a regular magazine. And that's the beauty of it, because it's all about delivering the message to you, the reader, the audience.
Okay. Wow. That's unique. So the criteria is community activism, right? Let's see.
First,
the main thing is
to remember.
If they have a message that is worthy, that is going to build up our people. That's
that you're credible, because that's one of the things that I think that we have to be aware of on social media. Mm-hmm. Everyone is talking that talk, right? Everyone is fabulous. What's the word? Whatever word they're using, everyone is that. But the criteria, Pam, make sure that you have actually put in this work. You have actually done this. You have actually served the community. You have, you are in a position, you are credible enough to be in that position to talk to others and tell others. So when she talk about their vetting, and if you're required, she makes sure that you meet that standard.
And we are the official magazine of Black Speakers Network. So a lot of the people who are in Black Speakers Network, that's why we know if they come through there, then they are on the road to being a professional speaker. They just need more hype. They need more press. They need more credibility. You can't get publicity unless you have publicity. So this is your first stop, your first tool. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not saying that this is going to be the end all be all, but you do need to start somewhere. And so if you are as seen in Speakers Magazine, you now have a badge you can put on your website and says, hey, as seen in Speakers Magazine. And so we don't really just take anybody. If you come through Black Speakers Network, there's pretty much, we could work with you because we know that you're interested in the industry. But if you're just somebody coming off the street and say, hey, I'm a speaker, well, then we have to vet you, just like my background's journalism, just like I would vet anybody that says who they say they are. I would have to investigate them and just make sure that they qualify. And a lot of the qualifications has to do with looking at their website, looking at their testimonials. Do they have a speaker reel? If they look at me like, what's a speaker reel? Then, okay, well, maybe you're not part of the industry. Right. These are just typical industry.
Or maybe it's not time for you yet.
Well, I was like, what's a speaker reel?
Those are like just the typical tools that a speaker will have, because typically when there's a call for speakers, you're going to send a one sheet, which is basically like who you are and everything. And they're going to say, send me a speaker reel. And that's how you get speaking gigs. So you've got a great one sheet. They look at your website and you send a speaker reel. Now, if you don't have that, it's going to be hard for you to really get speaking engagements for the call for speakers, especially today in COVID. You're not meeting people hand to hand, shaking their hands. So the only thing you can do is send them some footage. So that's really what it is. It's a 2-minute, recap of who you are and what you do. And hopefully you'll have some media in there as well. Because that also, you just can't be speaking on a speaking reel. You want to have some media in there as well. There, Tamara.
There it is.
Hey. Sorry, I'm late to the party. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Great. But let me also add this, Nicole, that if you're not ready for the magazine, she has another program to put you in to help get you ready to.
Yes.
So it's all community oriented. So as she mentioned, that's official magazine for Black Speakers Network. That's community partner. So it's all about, like I said, it feeds and features Black speakers and authors. So if you're not ready for this spotlight, there's a program in which Pam has that will get you ready for it. But it's all about supporting the Black speaker and author. Wow. Yeah.
Yep. So I have a program called Ready, Set, Go, Speak, which is really the one where Rodney is graduating from, basically.
Oh, congratulations.
He outgrew the program. So most people in the Ready, Set, Go, Speak program, they're relatively new and they kind of need some assets and things like that. But for the most part, they have their message together. They know what they want to say. But Rodney was really unique because there is a program that is 12 modules in the Ready, Set, Go, Speak program. He went through that like the first week. I'm like, wow. And he has been on fire ever since. And then when he did a pitch to some different shows and things like that podcast, his pitch letter, the person commented and said, that is the best pitch I've ever read in my life. I was like, he's on fire. And he's got, if he had more time, he could be on a podcast every single day. He really could with that pitch, because the book says, I fell off the bike, What was it, Rodney?
And I mentioned something about them. I fell off my bike and met somebody named Nicole, right? Or whatever it is, right? I'll say something like that. So the subject line is catchy, correct.
Right.
And then, the rest of the body. But I learned that through Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So I wish I could say, yes, I thought of that. That was a part of my education in the program. And it's been phenomenal.
He's been on podcasts overseas and all kind of things. It's just like, what?
Wow.
Yeah. And speaking in is it South Africa or Kenya? Where are you speaking in September?
Ghana.
Okay.
Wow, I need to sign up for your class, Pam.
Yes. It's for Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So it really does take you through a lot of things that it's kind of like what Rodney said. It says you don't know what you don't know. So it just kind of like highlights the things that you would need, all the tools, but it also gives you access to all of the podcasts. So every single week we give them media leads and things like that so they can know to pitch themselves. If they're not really verbal and they're more written, they'd like to really be seen in like on a website, a big website or something like that. That's included as well. I just had Dr. Cynthia was in another magazine. What was it? Purpose Driven Women magazine. So she was featured in there. And it's amazing. Even though someone is on social media and they see what they're doing, it's just amazing that when they say that I was featured on this or I'm going to be on here, how amazing their response is, because now it's not just them saying that they're great. Other people are saying that they're great too. So it gives that whole, it's like you have a credible source saying it instead of you saying the same thing, which is, I mean, social media is a good, obviously we need it, but it's also, you're just screaming to someone about yourself, and no one really wants to do that. You want other people to just really kind of like say that for you. And that's what the media is that third party endorsement. And so you need that, whether it's a newspaper, which I love Black newspapers, whether it is a Black website, Black radio station. I love Black Talk Radio. I love Sirius, Urban View. I love Black magazines. I mean, I almost cried like when Jeb said they wasn't going to publish no more, right? So that was like my thing. So that's what Speakers really came to being. I mean, so all of these, and obviously Black television networks. And then there's OTT. There's Black networks, like there's a Black on Purpose TV. That's an OTT kind of a station as well. So we have so much more richness in terms of our Black media that, a lot of times I'll ask people, say, well, what kind of media you want to be on? I want to be on, and then they name like, all the white media and things like that, like, CNN and People Magazine and Martha Stewart or whatever. I was like, what, they ain't really trying to help you. It's like, why are you trying to get all up in them? It's just like, if you have your community and they support you, you can do well. You can do well. We just have to support each other for that. If there's a Black radio, TV, I mean, look at Kathy Hughes. I mean, what she built. And then there's News One and Urban One and all the other ones that she have. That is really the power of that. You even look at like Oprah, even though she's not a Black quote unquote media, or Tamara Hall claims she's not Black media. At the end of the day, when you wake up, look in the mirror, you Black. You Black. And so you Black media. I don't care what you say. You Black.
That's right. And you are on Black media now. So we thank you for being here for that. Yeah.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how important, I mean, publicity is definitely important. Social media, I'm not a big social media person, but I try. I do, but it's a lot.
She's being modest. She does.
No, it's a lot to keep up with. It's a lot to keep up with, and it just opening up your life, to people that you don't even know, and they're judging you on, some way that you may feel at that time. You know what I mean?
Girl, you know what? It is. Don't feel like that, because I have 26,000 people on Twitter, 25,000 on
wow.
Half of them don't even be paying attention. They paying attention to their own posts. They ain't paying attention. Just put it out there. Ain't nobody paying attention. It really isn't.
Oh.
I mean, it will take a lot for it to really sink in. I mean, it'll be the same friends that just see it, but it's not like no one is really, when I call it social media, no one is really paying attention that deep, because it's way too much. We have learned to ignore. We have trained we have to, because if not, our brains would explode. We have learned to ignore. It's all day scroll. I mean, I mean, unless I see something like totally crazy, I'm just scrolling past it. It's like, okay, what, Nicole? Hey, I like it. And you been and said, like, I shot my father yesterday. Oh, like, because you're just like, you just scrolling. You just like, oh, that's like, and it's like, really, we're not really paying attention. My daughter just recently was on, took a trip to LA, and she was really excited and all that kind of stuff. And she's taking a lot of pictures and she's posting it on the gram, right? And so one picture she posted on the gram, I think was the last picture she posted, and she was doing like a funny move. And so a lot of people were just kind of laughing, they liked it. But one person said, ugh. They did the emoji like, ugh. So she tweeted, and she says, you know what? I've arrived. I've got haters now. I was like, oh, no. I said, okay, well, let me find them. Find them on Instagram. And I said, the little emoji that's like doo-doo, you know what I'm talking about? Doo-doo. I said, doo-doo to you too, boo. and I put it there. She screenshotted and put on there, said, don't mess with my mama. She got fired for you. I was like, yes. I was like, who are you? And then your account is private. You ain't even man enough to be talking about somebody, and then your account is private? Oh, no. So anyway,
I got to vouch for this guy. I don't know him. I'm going to vouch for him. Maybe he had a fat finger moment, right? Maybe he had to put the hard eyes for your daughter. And
no, it was definitely a hater. It was definitely a hater. So I was like, I was like, he can't be a hater.
He got the emoji. No, and in his defense, I've sent the wrong emoji because the fingers are moving so fast. Right, so maybe. See, but my account is private. I just can't get myself to make my account not private because I feel like I don't know. I guess I need to open it up. I mean, we have our SISTABIZ account, and yes, by the way, audience, please go. We just started our account a few weeks ago, and we'd love for you all to go SISTABIZ Show on Instagram. Okay. But where we're going to try to put more information. But for me, my other account is private, and then like people always send requests, and if I don't know them, nope, reject, nope. So my page is so limited. I'm really not utilizing it. I'm gonna try to make my page not private. I'm gonna try this week. I'm gonna finish this interview with you and learn some things, and then I might open the page up.
It really is a way to meet new people and network. Most of my best friends are online. I've never physically met Cier in person. Neither have I met Rodney in person. My best friend, Karen, I worked with her for 5 years before we finally met. She lives in New York, Karen Taylor Bass. There are just so many. I mean, it's because online and we see each other in different places. Now we got Clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. But now we're seeing the same people over and over online. So we feel like we know each other because our accounts are open. They kind of know different things. I mean, I'm not putting out all my business, but it's just enough like, this is me. This is my life. This is either you take me or leave me. This is it. I'm not putting out a whole lot of stuff. Now, there are some people that put way too much, and I'm like, that's TMI. That's way too much. I don't need to be bringing myself down reading all your drama. and so some people say, well, social media is just a highlight reels. Well, you got to put up and down on it as well. I mean, you're going to be honest or whatever. I will not put up pictures that I always do a brand check, and I always teach people to do a brand check before someone posts a picture of you. Make sure it's the right lighting, the right pose. You don't want to be looking crazy. If they're going to do a thumbnail, you don't be doing like this. You do a brand check so it's not looking crazy. And that's the only thing I said. But other than that, everything else is real. But you know how you could take a picture from someone the wrong angle and they just look totally crazy. So I said, before someone takes let's do a selfie, of course, and they're posting it and they look good.
And you look a hot mess.
But you had your eyes closed and your mouth one way. And it's like, no, this is a picture. I'm like, no, it's not. Take it over.
So social media definitely serves its purpose, but you always want a strategy with it. You know, how are you using it? Why are you using it? And then a strategy. You know, especially if it's for business. You know,
I've seen a lot of businesses bloom just from the Instagram account.
Yeah,
alone.
Absolutely advantageous for sure. For sure.
So
do you know how to use it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's wise to hire like social media experts? Because like I'm telling you, it's a lot of work. Even if you're posting just real stuff that happens day to day.
I think if you're a business, and you are, and it depends on your growth and where you are, what stage are you in your business. I think investing in your business for things such as social media, such as things as a coach, such as things as Pam's Ready, Set, Go program, those are definitely worth the investment. Because I think when you try to do it all by yourself, first of all, it's overwhelming. But if you are, whatever business you are, you want to focus on your craft. Right. And let someone else focus on their craft. And if it's social media, let them do that. So I think it's definitely an investment all businesses should consider, just like PR. Yeah.
And I would say if it's frustrating for you, if it's not something that you feel like a good zone of genius, then delegate it out. I mean, you can go, I give people a lot of different resources in Ready, Set, Go Speaker where they can go get it very inexpensive. If it's something that you don't enjoy, then I would say don't do it, because it will come across like you don't really enjoy it. And I have one client who says she loves doing Instagram. That's how she relaxes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, that's how you relax. I mean, she loves going on Canva, creating all them carousels, writing all them words, doing that design. And I said, there's nothing. I hate that. I said, I'd pay you to do it. She says, I love doing it. It's relaxing. So for her, she gets business from it because she finds joy in it. Mm-hmm.
But can I ask you a question? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be the voice of, and I see Donnie's name keep scrolling down. Donnie and I met doing advocacy work in Baltimore. As y'all can see, Baltimore. You see B-More? I know you see B-More. I know you see B-More. Right? So anyway, so to Cier and to Pam, my question is, for those of us, so I'm kind of piggyback on Nicole's question. For those of us who've I've thought about getting a social media expert person to kind of help with that. But then I have situations like this, right? So a couple of years ago on my Facebook page, I got a DM. So y'all see the C in my middle name, right? Rodney Burris. Mm-hmm. And so the gentleman calls me Chris. And he was like, "What's up, Chris, man? Man, I was really good to see you." He sent me a DM, right in my inbox. "Man, it's good to see you again, man. Yeah, I'm still locked up, man. I got this contraband phone, man, but I just wanted to hit you up, see how you do. You look like you're doing big things." Now, it's one thing for me to receive that. And for somebody that knows me as Chris, they definitely fam, right? They definitely know me as we grew up together kind of way. I don't want to put that guy at risk of anybody. See, I didn't know I was going to get the message, right? I didn't know that was coming through. It came out of the blue. He hit me up not too long ago. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm in a halfway house now. We can talk." But
what's your question, Rodney? What's your question?
So I wouldn't want to put sensitive information from other people that are reaching out to me at risk with a third party, even though that third party and I would have a professional agreement that, the inbox is sacred. And, I understand that. It still makes me feel protective of those who may or may not kind of percolate to the surface. What's your experience with that sort of thing? So
the thing of it is that the social media manager is probably managing, several accounts, and they done seen a whole bunch of stuff. I've seen. I know one social media manager that saw a breakup within the Instagram. Okay, so it was just kind of like we were engaged one day, and then we're not. We're going back and forth, and she's like, "This is TMI. Let me let her know that." Yes. She may want to handle those messages, and it's okay because they have that confidential. It's kind of like, not disclosure. I mean, so it's okay. Stuff happens. People have drama, whatever, but they just like, this is what I'm doing for you. This is my business. I'm doing your posts. I'm doing your stuff. You got some crazy DMs in there. I'm just sending you an email, let you know you may want to check those. And they going on. They not thinking about it no more because they got other clients that's doing that, right? So it's not like they're thinking, or not like they would be judging. And they're not judging you. They're not judging other persons. Just like, hey, you may want to check your DM. This is really like out of my scope.
Yeah.
This is out of my scope.
And here's another viewpoint too, Rodney, is if you consider someone, you get to know that person. And then there's that trust factor. So, it's like a marriage. So whoever you decide to allow in to that circle like that, you know that there has to be a trust. But keep in mind, there are different levels of social media as far as, you know, there's social media managers, there's social media strategists. So you may only invest in a service in which someone is posting for you and they are not in your DMs, because that is an extra cost for engagement. And I was working on, it was end of last year, I was working on a campaign, and my social media strategist, I had finished with the PR stuff, and I'm like, hey, what needs to be done? And I was helping with engagement on this particular account. So I was all in the DMs. And I'm like you, and this was kind of high profile. So, you know, some celebrity, you know, stuff. I'm like, God, I hope I don't see anything, right? But I would, you know, I would respond too. I would have to respond on the messages, not necessarily in the DMs, but in the messages and everything. But I would text her and say, hey, check DMs. But like Pam said, I saw it, I read it, I go on. I can't even tell you what the DM said. I can't tell you who it's from. I don't care. You know, I don't care. For the most part, too, you don't have to secure them for the services of being in your DMs. Let's just say if you want help with social media, you just want them to post for you, then that's all they do. And they won't have access to that. They can just post for you. But at the end of the day, you know,
especially if it's somebody overseas, they don't care.
Yeah, we're so transparent. You know, I always say I'm an open book. I'm so transparent. So there's nothing that can embarrass me per se. But you know, it's just like me and Nicole and I were talking. We were like, look, if they're worried about that, they're worried about the wrong thing. But but there are levels of social media services you can get, and you can say, I just would like for you to post. You don't need to engage or interact with anything. Right. And then that's exactly what they'll do. And then I'm sure at some point you may have your business account and then your personal account. So your business account is where you may get that social media strategist or manager, and there's nothing but professional stuff in those DMs and all that. And then you still have your personal account, which is what TC has, and everything she does herself. Because it's just, you know,
and this is my thing. In the Ready, Set, Go, Speak, we don't spend a lot of time on social media. I am a publicist, so I was OG before it was social media. So I really think media outreach is better, and it will probably serve you more to put more effort. There are thousands and thousands of Black media outlets. It would serve you more to really, at that point, just really try to get on their platform, you know, like other people's platform. That really is more where you're talking to other people about what you're doing versus on your own site about what you're doing. I mean, it can envelope all of your time. It can just really, you got Clubhouse. I don't know how people do it. I really don't. They own their own.
You're pro at all of that, Pam. That's what I say about you. I don't know how you do it.
They wear me out on Clubhouse. I'm like,
somebody just sucked me.
I was on there one time. One time I was invited on Clubhouse, and I was like,
I need you on there.
Yeah, everybody's important. They start off with like this 15-minute speech.
I can't do Clubhouse. I can't do it. I tried it.
I mean, we use it
right there. It is a thing where everybody has to feel so validated that it becomes so annoying that, like, dude, we get it. You're important. We read your bio. You know what the Clubhouse I like? They have this Clubhouse where nobody talks. Nobody talks. And all they say is come in this room and read the bios and make connections. So you go through and you click in the faces and you read in the bios. It's like, oh, that's a nice person. Let me DM them. Let me connect with them. Because there's no talking. Literally. They'll stop every 10 minutes. Then 10 minutes, they'll say a quote or whatever. And then they'll say, okay, we'll go back to networking. And then it's quiet.
That's the one I need. That's the room I need to go.
Let me advocate for Clubhouse a little bit, because Pam is great on there and she has great rooms. You guys have got to come Friday at 5 to the Speakers Magazine room. Okay. But then there are some other people that are on there that Pam is good about pinging me in. And I thank Pam, because I'm not that person but Pam will ping me in, and she'll ping me into a good room that has good information, and I really enjoy it. But for the most part, so Clubhouse is just like every other social media. Take the good, discard the bad, and make those connections. That's all, because there's such information, like Dr. George Fraser. It's just so many good people out there that you would not ordinarily have access to, or you would have to pay to hear this person speak.
True.
And here I am sitting and listening, just like, was it The Lion King? They did a whole performance on Clubhouse.
Wow. It was so good. And I sat singing and everything. It was so creative.
It was.
Did that. Yes, I see.
Tamara, you go, because I'm gonna ask my question after you. I got a question for Cier. You go first, Tamara.
Oh no, I'm gonna give it a try again since you said it.
Friday at 5.
Okay.
Magazine always hosts a room. I wish we could record it. That's how good these rooms are. Pam posted, and the speakers, the cover of the magazine is there, and then some other speakers that are featured in the magazine. And it's so good, guys. It is so good. And
a lot of people have not been on Clubhouse. Like when Dr. Ben Chavis came in, he hadn't been on Clubhouse before. He was like, "Now what I got to do?" I said, "Just hit the button, unmic yourself, and talk." Okay.
And talk.
Yeah.
You're right.
I got on the wrong one, and I'm like Pam was saying, she's like OG, a PR. Like I feel like I'm OG advocacy, and so I got on the wrong one, and it was like, right in this space, right? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I've got to be real with the right and and this space, and I'm like, y'all, advocates are all, right, and I was like,
right.
no, I was doing this before right was right. I don't want to hear that every 5 seconds. I just deleted the app after that. Too much right. That's very wrong.
So,
you got okay without saying right and space. I'm just saying.
You know how you can get a bell when someone's in there. Just follow Pam for now, and she will guide you. And she's in a room, it's a relatively good room. I followed her in room, and she must have left the room, and I scooted out too. It was some room recently, and I'm like, she must have came in by accident. And so I was like, I didn't, because she's always pinging me. I'm like, I'm gonna beat her. Let me see what this is about. And she wasn't in there, so I just left. But
you got out of there. As a brand new Clubhouser, right? I downloaded the app literally today. Okay.
Android can be on there now.
Yeah.
Right. Because I love the utility of Google, and I'm not down with this whole iPhone cult. We should do a show about that.
It is a cult.
iPhone user, proud since 3.
Okay, so what would you all? And I thought this was for Cier, but anybody, Nicole, anybody. What would be some tips, how can I utilize this app to make the best impression and the biggest impact, to kind of really utilize it? It's new. We've seen some ways not to do it. So what would be good? Like, not what we don't want to see. What would we like to see more of? Because I would try to walk in that vein as I come into it.
Pam, let me start and let you finish, because this is what I want to start off by saying. Rodney, you would be excellent on Clubhouse. You would be excellent on Clubhouse. We have the program that he's in with Pam, Ready Go Speak. I'm a program manager in that. So that's how I get to, know Rodney and work with him. You would, if you were to host a room, the number one thing is authenticity. And I know people throwing that word around, but someone who is not pretentious. You are not pretentious. You have a message. You deliver that message. You what's the word? It's with excitement that you speak.
Yeah.
You would do very well on Clubhouse. You would be able to retain a room, and your experience from your website, all the work that you've done, you will attract people that would just sit there and want to listen, as well as partner with people as what you do, because you work with men. I forget your full background, but you can have a whole room. The one time I hosted a room, it lasted for 5 hours. And that was a huge mistake, right? And I was co-hosting it with someone, but it was such a controversial topic that it went on and on and on and on. Your message and what you do is of such value, Rodney, that I think you are going to fall in love with Clubhouse. Okay. Now that's my viewpoint. I want to hear what Pam says, because Pam is the one who has really been working with you. What's your thought, Pam?
She's gonna be like, no, Rodney.
No. The main thing too, like I said, I was telling Nicole earlier, half the time people are half listening, they half paying attention, they scrolling, looking at your bio, right? A lot of them are like, you could be in a room, basically in a room, and other people are talking on the stage. You're kind of half listening, but then you're also looking down at the other faces of who else is in the audience. And so you click their bio and you're just clicking bios and you're reading. So you have to make sure that your bio is captivating enough to get followers, okay? And get business, so that you only have 2 live links in there. You have a Twitter, so make sure your Twitter is up to date, and maybe pin something on your Twitter. So maybe you pin like your opt-in gift or something like that. And then your Instagram, make sure your Instagram, and make sure your Instagram has a bio in it that will lead people to something that you want them to take off of Clubhouse or off of Instagram. Because the whole point of it is that you're trying to make these connections that are online, offline, to real business, to real life. And so a lot of times people think that the real life is online. No, that's not the real life. The real life is getting on the phone with someone and they're talking to you and booking you to speak in and that sort of thing. So my Twitter that is on Clubhouse leads to a pinned gift, and it's really a downloadable gift that they can go to pamperrypr.com/ebook, and they download the ebook on how to do digital marketing PR. Okay, they go to Instagram, which they tend to love to go to Instagram, but I always say go to my link in my bio in Instagram, and you can get my free gift and also see my podcast, their video podcast. So that allows that. I don't want the DM in my Instagram, and I don't want you to inbox me on Twitter. Go to those links, download my stuff, see that I'm a real business person, been in business 20 years. I don't do business in the DM. You're going to send me an email, just like if you're going to pay me by PayPal, it's going to be in an email. I don't Cash App. That's not business. So, I'm trying to, the people that I would work with, I'm trying to train. People who do DM me, they're going to be in there for probably a week or so, because I'm not in my DMs every day. I'm in my email.
You left me in there for a long time. That's not wrong. When I first met Pam, I was like,
me too. I stalked her. I was in all her DMs. I stalked her. Right. We hadn't gotten enough to know you through the email yet, but I did email you.
I'm an OG. So email is like number one. My daughter is like in the DM. She dates in the DM. I mean, that's a whole nother world, like right there in the DM. So I'm like, what is that? But the whole point of it is making sure your bio is captivating enough. You can make it as long as you want, but make sure your links are good and that you have those first 3 sentences on the Clubhouse are something that captivates people. So mine is Pam Perry, publisher, podcaster, and publicist. So it's a bunch of P's on there. It's like, ooh, there's a bunch of P's on here. And you could use emojis and that sort of thing. Don't go overboard with emojis. I think if men go over it, it doesn't look good. But the women, they got hearts and stars and all that. And people like this because, like I said, they're scrolling while they on Clubhouse and they looking at stuff. So the only thing they have to look at is your bio. Now, if they want to start following you, then they'll look and see what clubs you're in. And so a lot of times you can see what other clubs I'm in. I have a Ready, Set, Go Speak Club. I have a Speakers VIP Club. I have a Speakers PR Branding Club. So you join those clubs and then you see other people in those clubs that you probably would want to follow and have relationships with. That's your ecosystem of Clubhouse. Don't just get on there like, oh, I'm going to get on here. I'm going to follow Gayle King and MC Hammer and all the celebrities.
It's all about strategy. But you guys, you see the different approach, right? The minute I talked to Rodney, it was all about his message, right? Because that's what I hear and that's what I look for. And then when Pam talks, she's all about setting you up for the publicity and doing business. And that's the beauty of it. And Pam has told me before, Rodney, it wasn't until I emailed her that she responded, because I was, I just stalked her and everywhere I was trying to get in touch with her. But and when she says don't get on there following such and such, she told me, she said, don't follow them. She would say, yeah, don't follow. This is who you need to follow right here. So that's the value that she has that is just second nature. That's just her viewpoint and the prism in which she sees everything. Whereas I'm listening to, I don't actually scroll, right? I'm the person that actually listens. And if the message is good, I'm listening, occasionally if there's someone, on the stage and they're interested, then I look at their bio, but I am so not the one that goes on. But see, Pam is. And by time, let me tell you her room, by time you make it to her stage, it's like she knows you because she's looked at your bio. She's gone to your website. That's Pam. Amazing. That's why it's a pleasure working with her and everybody who new speakers, Ready, Set, Go program, what Rodney went through too, just to help sharpen him up and polish him up. I mean, I cannot stress enough how valuable that program is.
It was great. It was great.
We've heard a lot about Rodney's message. Can you share with us what your message is?
No pressure.
Break it down, baby. We ready. He get ready to come with fire, trust.
So let me share stories about what connected Donnie and I, Donnie Glover, right? So when my wife has a lot of children. Can we just start there? My wife has so many kids. I need a whole therapy session about that. Can we do a club room for that? Okay, so we have 5 children, right? My oldest children are twins, Aaliyah and Anthony. They're 16 now. Okay, so when Aaliyah and Anthony were coming along, right, they were babies. I had a mentor. I wanted to make some more money. I started traveling and working in schools around the country, right? I was working with guidance counselors. I was working with teachers, principals, helping 11th and 12th graders get access to scholarship, life after graduation, positive decision making, all of that kind of stuff. And what I realized, I had been to so many states, Nicole, great schools, small schools, little schools, big schools, schools off in a farm area, right? You name it. And what I realized that the best schools weren't defined by the best budgets. They weren't defined by the newness of the building. Those things help. They weren't defined by the great teaching and the teacher staff. Bar none, Nicole, the number one thing that seemed to stick out across the country, Wisconsin. I've been to 41 of our 50 states. I've been in a lot of schools. The thing that stood out the most was parent involvement, right? Now, I live in a city. I live in Baltimore, right? And as my children got older, so when they were small and I was doing all of this stuff and just kind of collecting this, I started realizing we got struggles here in Bmore, right? We got some things that could be better with our school system. I wanted to be a part of the positive change with that. And so I started going to school board meetings and I would run into people like Donnie, right? I would run into big voice Donnie Glover, right? And a whole bunch of other folks, right? So what I began to show up and submit testimony, right? I began to go to the parent meetings and all this kind of stuff. And then it was like, well, Rodney, you need to run for office. I was like, I'm not running for office. What are you talking about? Like, I'm no politician. I'm not one of those guys. Well, there was a couple of times that I've actually been in Annapolis, been in City Hall with Donnie, been at the school board with Donnie, right? One of those times that a bunch of us were down, us advocates, to your point, Tamara. Is it Tamara or Tamara? I want to, Miss Brown.
It's Tamara, right?
Tamara. I'm working on that. There's a lot going on for me, right? I'm working on it.
Habla español. It's a little easy when you say Tamara.
So I'm going to end it with this, right? Because I could do this all day. But this is why I started doing what I was doing in our city, right? For our kids, for our families. I was in Annapolis. And the state was having a shortfall in the budget, right? Statewide. And I heard this gentleman say, why don't we just take some of the money from Baltimore City's education line item? They're not really using it anyway. And as callous as that sounds, as disconnected as that sounds, if I can be honest and just speak my truth, looking at this gentleman, he didn't seem to be saying that with any kind of viciousness in his tone. He just was aloof. He just was gone. And that, Nicole, is when I realized we needed voices at the table. We needed people at the table that can speak our language and also that language, bridge those gaps and make those voices heard, right? And so when I think about advocacy, to speak for, to speak towards, that came from my heart. My kids, all 5 of our children are in Baltimore City schools, right? I don't live in White Marsh. I don't live in Columbia. I live off of Lock Raven and Cold Spring, right? I live in the city. I live right behind this joint right here. And so that's how I got to do this work. In so many of the small rooms or the big rooms with the cameras and all that kind of stuff, no matter where it was, I saw Donnie. And you get to see the same people. They got the same heart. And so whether it was like 7 of us and it's 9:30 at night, we've been doing this all day, look over, see Donnie. You know, big stuff, WB, NBC, all that kind of stuff, you see Donnie, right? And so I really gained a lot of respect for him and for that generation. He's a little bit older than I am. They kind of paved the way for people like myself to kind of come in and do some of the shaking up that we've done. But that's how I got connected. That's a big part of my message. That advocacy that Tamara was speaking about came from those experiences on the ground right here.
Wow. Well, we're going to have you on another show because that's Nicole and I have very much passion for Baltimore. Absolutely. And we can talk about it on every show.
Absolutely.
Good. So, and
I told you. I said you.
And so does that tie into your book, Rodney?
It does. It does, right? And so I have a book. I'm actually at my mom's house. I'm not floating in Baltimore, believe it or not. But I have a book. It's called Get Off the Cycle and Run. It's about breaking cycles, right? Breaking bad habits. What I notice about B-More, right? We have a tendency, this is how I look at our city. You think about a Christmas tree, right? You think about a Christmas tree back in the day, and it has lights all around, wrapped all around it. Well, if one of those lights in the string was out back in the day, that whole row is out, right? That whole loop is gone. And sometimes you don't need to go buy a whole new tree. You don't got to buy a whole new set of lights. Sometimes it's literally the connectors, right? It's literally those little bulbs. But sometimes we are stuck in how we've always done things, right? We're stuck in how we've always done things in our city. We elect the same folks because we recognize their names, right? We don't go over east if we live over west. We don't go over west if we live over east. We definitely go back to county.
Rodney, we are going to have you on another show because we need to talk. And it's going to take a while.
Absolutely.
I don't want to cut you off, but
this
is going to fire up me and Nicole, and then
I see you squirming in that seat, Tamara. I see you squirming, sis.
I told you, and I told you, I said you are going to love him.
Well, I want to throw the whole string out, but let's just I digress. Miss Perry and Miss Black, we won't do this to you. Yeah, Mr. Burris, we're gonna have to get your schedule because we've got to get you back.
But I mean, I'm from Chicago, so I would definitely say that Baltimore is it's just a minor version of what happens in Chicago. I mean, because it's pretty much in every inner city.
Yeah, so definitely for sure.
That is why, the platform that you have, Pam, and Cier, is so important, because our people, we just don't know. A lot of times we don't know the power, the advocates that are out there. There's some disconnects amongst us for various reasons. And it's serious, and it's time to get mobilized because a lot of us, our wealth is being stolen. They're pushing us out of the inner cities. We have to look at what's going on. So it's serious.
And people like Rodney is important, and that's what drives Pam to have not only her magazine but her program. And that's why it's a pleasure. When Pam said we have the same heart, it is our pleasure
Detroit
to help enjoy to position Rodney so that his voice can be heard, because he is the one in the forefront doing the work, and we're the one in the back end just helping him, rev him up for that work to be done so that he can be seen, so that he can be visible. And Pam believes in starting within the community. That's where you start, and create other advocates, so
Motown. That is so true.
So Pam, you're in Detroit, and Cier, where are you located?
I'm in Atlanta.
Yes.
Okay. I missed Rodney came here and spoke somewhere, and I missed it. but I won't do that. I won't make that mistake again. So, next time you come through, for sure, we will meet in person.
Absolutely.
And Nicole, you are in Chicago, but you were in Biz Journals.
I'm actually in Baltimore. I've been here for 20 years, but I still have my residence in Chicago. So I do, commute, not since COVID as much. My mom's been holding my house down in Chicago. So, but
Chicago and Detroit, they're like sister cities. So.
Exactly. I be trying to tell people up here about rib tips. They be like, what? They don't know that about
Yeah, that's like a Detroit.
Nicole, you don't eat rib tips.
Well, I don't anymore. I don't eat meat anymore, but I still respect the rib tip. You know what I mean? They don't have them.
I learned something new.
Yeah, we respect the rib tips.
Okay. Yeah. So really quick, Pam, I did have a question for you. I'm sorry I got on late, but I wanted to know, like in PR, what type of businesses are your biggest clients? I mean, I know political, we know a lot of politicians and use PR firms, but who would you say are your major type of businesses that you work with?
Publisher houses are usually bigger. That's probably how I built the beginning of my business, is working with Random House, Harvest House, Harrison House, Whitaker, Zondervan, Moody, the houses. And so the houses produce books, and they would get, because I was the target market, I would do the African-American, I was doing the African-American authors for that, Warner Faith, which is a division of Faith Works. And, so a lot of the publishers are the main ones. But that happened is the train wreck happened when the publishing industry just really coincided with the internet. I mean, bookstores are going out, people can publish their own books. So a lot of publishers don't have where they're going to be sending all their authors on 12 book tours and all that, just shrink. So eventually they had the onus for the author to do their own marketing. It's like, you know what, we'll publish your book, we'll distribute it, we'll put it in the store, but you have to make sure that it sells. And so the authors are like, what? I'm just a writer. I don't know how to market a book. And then that's when my business kind of did a transition, and I started working with more authors and authors, and then authors have to speak in order to sell their book. So that's where that transition is. So a lot of the authors and speakers who are in that field, they know how to write and speak, but then they don't know how to market and sell. So that's really where my business is at this point right now. But before, it was really with publishing houses.
Wow. Well, I mean, we're in like the last few minutes. So I definitely want to make sure we get enough time that everyone can leave their contact information for our guests. And some last tidbits for our viewers in regards to just speaking and public relations, if possible.
Yeah, I would say one of the main things is just read. Just a lot of times just reading. I mean, we're on the internet, we're doing YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But I would say like really just making sure that you're reading on a regular basis. There's something that's different about, even, I'm not even talking about Kindle, like taking a physical book and reading it, cracking it open. Rodney did that, and he knows that I recommend books as well. So the book that I told him to read, he bought it off of Amazon, cracked it open, and he was reading it on his way to New York. It's something different about reading the book and really having that ingested in you. So I always tell people, I said, read at least, if you can, a minimum of one book a month. My mentor, George Fraser, taught me that. He reads like books every day, but he said reading will really make you the top expert in any of your fields. So if you want to really be a top expert, if you read one book a month, you're going to be in the top 10% of whatever you're reading. And a lot of people ain't going to do that. So if you want to be in the top 10%, read. And I always tell people, I said, read the books. There's a buy them if you can from African American Literary Book Club, AALBC. Troy Johnson, he has a great website. He's been running that for over 20 years. It's like an Amazon, but it's Black, Black owned. So we want to support that. Troy is really down with like promoting the Black authors and that sort of thing. So I would say just making sure that you read, it's good to read the social media and the blogs and all that, but old fashioned reading some books.
Yeah. Okay.
Sarah,
any closing remarks?
Oh, for me, I think I find, in what I do and focus on is to have great clarity and understanding of who you are, what your purpose is, and how you are to serve your community. And I'm an advocate. I coach for self-awareness because I think it is by means of self-awareness that we come to find ourselves and gain that confidence and be able to authentically and courageously live out the life that we were designed to live. So I would say clarity and self-awareness is key for everyone, whether you're a speaker, author, or just in business. That is crucial. Every time I work with a client, that's exactly where we start.
Mm-hmm. That is, clarity is everything. Clarity is cash.
Yeah.
He said, "I have not one but two bookcases."
Yes, June. June is a loyal viewer, and we really
she is. Hi, June.
She probably related.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's right. Perry family reunion.
And Rodney, we're going to have you on again because we have some other things we got to talk about. But thank you for your time. This has just been a great. I'm sorry I missed the first few minutes, but this has been a great session. Thank you, all the viewers. We just always try to pour into our community, and thank you all for being part of this. Go ahead.
I want to make sure that they leave their websites and phone numbers from Pam and Cier in case one of our guests, they're writing books or they want to speak.
Yeah, they can always go to pamperrypr.com. That is like the site where everything is. They can get the speakers magazine. They can get to the Ready, Set, Go thing. I'm starting the Branding Accelerator in June. So everything is at Pam.
Oh, I better sign up. Okay.
So everything is there. And then if they go there, one of the things that they'll get is they'll get a video that talks about what the media really wants. And it talks about those tools like a speaker reel and those kind of things. So they'll get that video as well for free for just signing up at pamperrypr.com.
And you can find me on all social medias at Cier Black.
Okay. And how about you, Rodney?
That's me. Everything.
At Rodney C. Burris.
Hi, Rodney C. Burris.
Chris.
Yes.
Hey, Chris.
RodneyCBurris.com, info@gmail. Make it very, very. Pam told me about that. She was like, make sure you put the C. Nicole, listen, Tamara, if you're going to join, just be ready because Pam keep it real. So one day I gave her something I didn't have my C,
She's
Nicole.
from Detroit.
Ain't she?
I love it.
Like, if you don't put
that ain't right.
in it was amazing. I appreciate that. That kind of.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for your time this evening. Thank you, all the viewers, for viewing. And we're looking forward to another great show next week. We'll keep you all posted. Make sure you check out our Instagram page. If you have any show ideas or anyone you'd like for us to interview, make sure you email us at sistabizshow@gmail.com. Thank you all.
Thank
you. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thank you.